Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Latham. I'm the director of the Ramsey Public Library, and today I'm broadcasting from Casa Latham. um, I wanted to thank you for tuning in, and I hope everyone is staying safe and doing well at home. I know this is a challenging time for all of us, so we're trying to do a lot more virtual options for our patrons, including some virtual story times, some virtual book recommendations. We'll hopefully have some crafts and other things coming up soon, so be on the lookout for those things. Today, what I thought I would do is highlight some of our collections for you. We have a great digital collection that's available for you, and specifically today, what I thought I'd talk about is a few of my favorite comic books that are available for you to read right now on our Hoopla product. Um, the way you get there is you go to our website, ramseylibrary.org, and then you go to down or borrowing, one of the drop down buttons, hit downloadables, and then you'll see a button for Hoopla. And Hoopla, by the way, has all kinds of great things. It has streaming movies, television, ebooks, audiobooks, and actually a pretty great collection of comics. So let's dive into what we have that I'm going to suggest for you today. Um, there's a number of great things, and part of the best thing is too, there's no wait times for Hoopla. You check it out, you're ready to go. There's never any holds for it. And with some of these series that I'm going to talk about, um, great part is there's already so many issues of these that you can kind of binge read them from home, and which is how I've definitely done it, and I really, really enjoy them, and hopefully you will too. So, without further ado, I happen to have some of these in my home collection, so I'm going to show you copies of them. So my first one is Saga. This is a great comic series by Brian K. Vaughan. This has been going on for a few years now. They actually have, let's see, about 9 collected editions. So there's 9 of these collected editions that you will be able to read online. It's definitely, these are adult comics for sure, so this is for adult readers. Um, Great, interesting art. Um, so let me give you a little background of it too. This is one that's won at least 8 Eisner Awards. So Eisner Awards are the top comic book awards. So this particular series has won, I think, at least 3 in a row of the best series of the year. So it is highly acclaimed series. I'm surprised that it has not yet become a TV series or a movie, but it probably will. So it's a good time to get on the ground floor and read Saga before it becomes one of those things, and either becomes terrible and they mess it up and boy we're angry, or you get to see the cool things that you loved in the comic books. So um, I thought I'd give you a little description too. So let me just bring that up. So Saga is described a little bit as heavily influenced by Star Wars, which it very much has got like a Star Wars sci-fi, but also a fantasy element too, um, based on ideas that the author Brian K. Vaughan conceived as both as a child and as a parent. So it does have the protagonists of the story are both parents and their child. So it's got perspectives from both of their points of view. So the main plot is that it depicts a husband and wife, Alana and Marco, who from long-warring extraterrestrial races, fleeing authorities from both sides of a galactic war as they struggle to care for their daughter, Hazel, who was born in the beginning of the series and who occasionally narrates the series as an unseen adult. So the extra portion of that is that these two parents are from alternate sides of a war. They fall in love, they have a child together, and both sides want to get them. They don't. Both sides hate that there is a child that represents that these two groups can get together and not have to war with each other. But it goes through so many amazing twists and turns, and it's funny and it's poignant. It's really great, I think, for young parents and parents of, let's say, newborns to 10-year-olds. It kind of like, so far it really gives you a lot of that. So it's great for parents. It's great for um, uh, really most adults, I think. So it's got, for fans of Star Wars, fans of fantasy and sci-fi, it's got a little bit of everything. I really, really enjoy it, and it has been a very acclaimed series. So it's not quite done yet. It's still ongoing. I don't know when the next issues are meant to come out, but you are able to read at least 9 collected editions of these. They're all available on Hoopla right now, so you can get to binge watching them, or reading them. So I highly, highly recommend it. So our next one, we're going to go through 4. Man, this is pretty good, giving you so much content. So the next one is also a series that is now a TV series. So this has been already made into a series. It's ongoing. This one is called The Boys. All right, so The Boys is one of the big series from author Garth Ennis, who also wrote Preacher, which was a very acclaimed series from the 90s that also became a TV series a few years ago. So you probably recognize that these are both TV series. I really enjoyed these books. I read them years ago before they became TV series. He is known for pretty deep themes in terms of, like, Preacher had a lot to do with religion and belief and faith and corruption and all kinds of things. The Boys is absolutely about power and corruption once again, and sort of um, societal inequities as well. So let me give you the description, though, so you can kind of understand what exactly we're talking about here. So The Boys is a series set between 2006 and 2008, where in a world where superheroes exist. However, most of the superheroes in the series universe are corrupted by their celebrity status and often engage in reckless behavior, compromising the safety of the world. The story follows the small clandestine CIA squad informally known as The Boys, led by Butcher and also consisting of Mother's Milk, that's right, the Frenchman, the Female, and new addition Huey Campbell, who are charged with monitoring the superhero community, often leading to gruesome confrontations and dreadful results. In parallel, a key subplot follows Annie, Starlight, January, a young and naive superhero who joins the Seven, which is the most powerful of the superhero groups in this world, and becomes part of and gets tied in with between those two factions, the Boys kind of squaring off against the Seven, which is again that ultra powerful group in this world. I will say again, these are all for adults, but of the titles I'm suggesting, this is by far the most adult of the titles. It does have a lot of violence and sexuality, so it's sort of the author is known for that. So you should be aware that this is like a very heavy title in that capacity. If you're okay with that, then I think the writing is great. It's a compelling story. There's humor in it. There's drama. There's all kinds of things. The art is really, really great as well. And there are a number of collected editions. See, you can already see, pretty violent. So there's lots of stuff here. The one cool thing about this is that this series is already finished. So you can read the entire series. You don't have to worry about cliffhangers or not being able to finish the plot. You can finish the entire plot reading it on Hoopla, whenever you get to it. So this is a great one to binge read. And again, highly violent in things, but also a great series, and one that clearly TV executives thought to make 2 of his titles into TV shows. The TV show note does stray pretty heavily from the books, so if you're watching the show, you should know that this does stray very heavily from it in terms of plot. The feel and the idea of the show, though, is very much in line with this, though. All right, 2 more titles. Next is a really interesting one. It's got wonderful imagery. I really like a great world, like a really rich fantasy sci-fi setting that's got really good details and like descriptions of how the world works. This next one is really fantastic for that. It's called Monstress. Now this has 4 collected editions thus far, and it is again another highly acclaimed title. It's won 5 Eisner Awards, as well as 4 Hugo Awards, which is fantasy and sci-fi awards. So this is another highly acclaimed series. I was lucky enough at Comic-Con to see the author and artist speak. They're really interesting how they put it together, and it's a great partnership, the artist and author who put this together. I really, really like um, the the imagery and the drawings. So it's really like rich fantasy, detailed. Um, it's very much got a number of different influences, but let's give you like, but it's like again very detailed in how the artist creates the drawings and the world. So both the author and the artist create a really rich environment for you to get absorbed into. Let's take a look at the description really quick so you can understand again what it is. So, Monstress. The series is set in a matriarchal world inspired by 20th century Asia and tells the story of Make a Half-Wolf, a teenage girl who shares a mysterious psychic link with a powerful monster. The background to the story is a war between the Arcanics, magical creatures who sometimes pass for human, and the Kumeya, an order of sorceresses who consume Arcanics to fuel their power. Yikes. Micah is a Arcanic who looks human and who is set on learning about and avenging her dead mother. Micah's left arm has been severed, and a demon occasionally emerges from its stub. The demon who takes over her body and mind is a source of great power, but challenging to Micah to understand and control it. So it also so there's a very again unique setting, fantasy, high fantasy kind of things. Um, but it also has a lot of mystery to it as the series unfolds and you learn more about her origin, the background of her mother, and the background of the war and the different characters. It really unfolds in a very nice way and an organic way that keeps you very interested throughout the whole series. It is still an ongoing series. Again, there are 4 collected editions thus far. I really, really enjoy this one, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. Again, I would really recommend this if you're interested in fantasy, if you like rich worlds that are created with lots of detail and lots of great characters. This is a great one for you. And again, on another note, I think this is a great representative of. I feel like the last 5 to 10 years in comics has had a slew of great female protagonists where comics had not traditionally had those. It was all male-driven characters. The last few years has seen some wonderful comics with female protagonists. This is certainly one of them, one of the best if you ask me. And I think it's just a good representative of great female protagonists and that trend in comics. Finally, this one is more a very fun comic that is sort of a guilty pleasure, not a guilty pleasure, but just sort of fun and lighthearted kind of. This is another one that has all female protagonists. It is pretty acclaimed as well. It actually won a GLAAD award for its depiction of different characters. And this one is very much kind of a love letter to Dungeons and Dragons, the game. So if you like Dungeons and Dragons, if you like really like high fantasy, Tolkien, Sanderson, those kind of things, you're going to, I think, really like this one. And it has a ton of humor. This is by far the funniest one. I think it's very lighthearted. It has a lot of jokes, a lot of humor in it. And it's a great fun read to do. So this one is called Rat Queens. And it's about 4 adventurers, female adventurers, in a group called the Rat Queens, and the different adventures they get in. I really like the characters are really fantastic. It's all high fantasy too, so there's orcs, there's goblins, there's all kinds of things, but it's also really funny. Kind of the characters are somewhat, some of them have a lot of quirks and they mess up a lot or they do whatever, and it's just a very funny title as well. Let's give you the description so you know a little bit more. So, Rat Queens. So it was described by the writer as a concept that connects The Lord of the Rings and Bridesmaids. So think about that one for a minute, and I kind of love what that creates. Bridesmaids plus The Lord of the Rings is really perfection. So the Rat Queens are a rambunctious party of adventurers in a medieval fantasy setting. They comprise of the rockabilly elven mage Hannah, the hipster dwarven warrior Violet, who shaved her beard before it became cool, The atheist human cleric D, who hails from a family of Lovecraftian monster cultists, and a hippie halfling, here called a smidgen, thief named Betty, whose idea of a hearty meal is a bag of drugs and candy. They were later joined by Braga, a transgender orc warrior. So it has a lot of characters and a lot of character quirks to get into. I think there's about, let's see, four, oh no, there's maybe six collected editions now. It is an ongoing series. Um, you may notice that there's some continuity issues because, as far as I understand, there was some issues with some of the writers and creators, and so it kind of stopped and started a little bit in terms of its creation. So it's not quite as seamless as the other comics, but I think it still is a great, wonderful read, and it will really entertain you and give you a laugh, especially in times that can be challenging for everybody. So I highly recommend Rat Queens as well as the other ones. So again, I hope you enjoyed our my little talk and my recommendations. So again, Rat Queens, Monstress, The Boys, and Saga. All available on Hoopla, all available to read right now. And I'll probably come back and do some other recommendations for comics on Hoopla. There is really a great collection there, so you should check it out. So without further ado, I hope you enjoyed this talk. We'll post this on our Facebook and YouTube. Feel free to comment, share maybe some of the things that you like, some of the comics that you've been enjoying reading, and ones that maybe could be found on Hoopla. So hope you enjoy, and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.